Welcome to Surviving the Dream with your hosts, Casey Arnold
and David Conley.
We're here to talk to people who seem to have their dream job and find out, what did it take? Is it what they imagined? Is it worth it? How do they do it?
Join us as we uncover the secrets of surviving the dream.
Hi, Dave.
Hello, Casey. How are you?
I'm all right. This is the first one we've actually recorded since the wildfires.
Oh,
so,
yeah, we're surviving.
Yeah.
This should be surviving the fires. This should be a special episode.
Yeah.
And we've got a fellow Angelino on today as well, I understand.
Fellow Angelino, also our editor who helps us make this possible because you and I are not tech savvy.
That's true,
so
especially
me.
Me.
Break format a little bit, introduce him right away, and then get into the meat. Film and TV editor who I know and love, who has saved my ass more than once. Hi, Mike Nicholas. Thanks for being with us today.
Hey, guys. Thank you so much for having me in the other chair.
Mike Nicholas.
We feel better when you're here.
Yeah.
How are you guys doing fire-wise? We all had kind of like a different version.
Well, it depends. Where do you live, Mike?
I live in North Hollywood.
North Hollywood. Oh, you live in the concrete part of LA, so you were fine.
I was fine, but really, I'd have family and friends check in constantly, and I would keep sending out the screenshot that I think everyone was getting from the Watch Duty app, where it's like, it's like fire to the north, fire to the west, fire to the east, and it's like, no, like we really are the lucky ones. We really are just fine. But we didn't have power for like 4 days, so.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, wow. That is a thing.
And it wasn't even everywhere. Like there, a block over, everyone had it for like the whole time. It was just us. And at some point, we left to stay with some friends outside the city just because we didn't have an air filter, and we were like, "This is starting to get rough."
Yeah. What about you, Casey?
I left for a little while. I'm in West Hollywood, so I felt near enough to like the Runyon Sunset Fire that like after watching the Palisades burn so quickly, as soon as I started like evacuating people, one of my friends' parents had evacuated the Palisades and they didn't have time to get both of their cats out. So like as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh my God, that's so awful. I know there's a lot of varieties of awful, and losing your home is awful, but like for me personally, as soon as like my neighborhood started being evacuated, I was like, I've got 2 cats. I've got to go just to be safe. I'm leaving because I've always kind of joked that like, I'm going to go out trying to get my cats in their carrier. But like when it came down to it, I'm like, ladies, I don't actually want to go out like that. I really need you to get in your carrier, get in here. So I luckily had a friend in Palm Springs that it was like me and 3 friends and their 3 dogs and my 2 cats. And we left for a few days to get away from the smoke and like, packed a few quick things and was like, okay, apartment, hope I see you again. But like, maybe I won't, but at least I got my cats who've never been on a road trip before. And now we have.
It's amazing how everything's put in perspective, isn't it? Like, I know so many people have lost houses, and it's just like, but I'm all right, and my dogs are all right, or my cats are all right. Yeah.
It is interesting. I know, Dave, you have of the 3 of us, you definitely have had the worst go of it.
You for last,
You're in Pasadena.
Yeah, mine was it was very dramatic. Yeah, with 5 cats, and it's amazing. Like we talk about that. What is the most important thing, and then on the night, and I think people, and I'm trying to explain it to people as well, going how dramatic it was. It was really, the wind was so dramatic. Yeah. I've never experienced wind like that before. And I think if the fires hadn't happened, I think the story the next day, obviously stories don't last that long these days, but the story the next day would have been wind. The wind was so bad because there were trees going down on houses and cars. And I mean, we're all in a little bit of denial. I mean, I got home that night and we were supposed to be going out in South Pasadena. And I remember Hannah, my wife, saying, I was driving home from Hollywood, and she goes, I don't think we should go out tonight. It's windy. And I was like, oh, windy, is it? Yeah, I think we can cope with a little bit of wind. And it wasn't until I got back to a stop sign at Pasadena near my house that suddenly my car had turbulence. First time I've ever had turbulence in a car. And I'm driving down my own street, and you've got to remember it was Christmas, so all the Christmas trees were put outside. It was trash night, and they were just flying across the car. And then I got home, and I said to Hannah, I said, "No, I'm still. Have you put the trash out?" She said, "I'm not putting it out." And I thought, "Yeah, I'll do it." And that's when I realised we had a serious problem, because I took the heavy trash can outside, and it blew away in my hand and went up in the air. And there was just trash. And I went, and I came back in the house and went, we're not going out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I said, put the film up. Let's put a film on. Let's pretend this isn't happening. And then we were getting texts like, are you guys all right? I'm going, yeah, we're fine. It's the Palisades, not Pasadena. You've got that wrong. And then a neighbor texted me and said, look out the window. I looked out the window, which was orange. I went, oh, that's weird. Oh gosh, why is it orange out there? And I went outside when my neighbour and me were trying to like stand upright, looking at these flames coming towards us. And then our phones I'm really impressed with the phones, that they were going, evacuate, evacuate. But everyone, and then Hannah came in the room and she said, why have you just texted on that thread going, I can see the flames from our house? She goes, you're exaggerating. You always have to be dramatic. I said, look out the window. And she was, get the cat bags. Yep. And that's what we did. We got the cat bags. We lost power. We were filling the car. But I remember a neighbor was walking past, and you could hear his phone going, evacuate, evacuate. And I said, we've got to get out of it. And I don't know this guy. And he says, I've lived there 40 years. We're fine. They always do. And I'm, oh, well, all right. But that drive I've never experienced anything like it. I mean, just driving down our own street with the Christmas trees hitting the car. It was like Twister. Trash cans flying into you, going round broken trees over cars. And you're going, oh my God. And then when I got onto the freeway, Pasadena just went dark. It was like all power was lost and all you could see was the flames.
So scary.
Yeah. And then we were out for 3 weeks. And then it was a bit like, I keep describing that when our house survived, we're so lucky. But when I went back to see it, a neighbor got back, sent a text saying, your house is still standing, got back. I've never seen anything like it. The trash on our front yard, it looked like, this is a perfect, how do you make a fire? Exhibit A, Dave's house. we put all the wood and kindle all out here. All it needs is a spark and it will go up. So, and then people would go around in trucks and, they helped us for a bit of cash to clear it all up. And it was a hell of a clear up. But I describe it like anyone who saw the final season of Game of Thrones when the dragons destroyed the city. Pasadena was like that. It was like you couldn't see very far. It was grey and there was just ash. And I live very close to the mountains and you couldn't see them. You could not see them. It was shocking.
I feel like it's such a weird, surreal experience because like you saw it, you were in it, you experienced it, right? Like I lost a little bit of intermittent power before I left and like there was some smoke in the air. But if you drive around my neighborhood and even when it was happening, unless you were somewhere that you could see the massive plumes of smoke, it was like nothing was happening. Like you could be like, nope, I'm just going to stick my head in my bubble and nothing
it's amazing,
unless you're online or, obviously I think we all know someone who evacuated, lost a home, like it was all going on. But like the fact that you could be somewhere that feels like some like, war torn neighborhood that's no longer. And in my neighborhood, it's like, oh, I'm going to go out and get a juice because everything is fine. It's just like weird that it's all happening.
It was weird though.
At the same time, it's like, I feel guilty that I had such a mild version of it.
We've all got survivor's guilt, but there was a weird thing when there's an elevated section of the 10. For those who aren't in LA, we just say the freeways are so, they're so important. We call it the 10. And I remember driving over that on a Saturday and it looked like, this is like, and the fires happened on a Tuesday night. It looked like Los Angeles was on fire. There was just flames and smoke engulfing
from like every angle, every angle.
And yet when I got back to our good friends who we were staying with, who are friends of the pod, Ray and Graham, it was like we were in that bubble. And I'm going, literally 5 minutes ago, I could see Los Angeles looks like on fire. And we're now in your house and it's like, should we put TV on? Because we're all right. It was surreal. It's surreal. And that you could be so close. I mean, it reminds me of like, bizarrely, I'm going to say, when I was in Venice, and I remember seeing it's the most romantic city in the world, and I saw this couple kissing, and little did they know that on the step below them there was a group of rats, and I thought they don't know that. And I felt like that about the fires, that people are going, no, we're fine here. And you look around you and you go, no, they are, you are surrounded.
Honestly, though, I feel like that's a good metaphor just for like living in LA and like doing what we all do. Like, guys, it's like chaos and terribleness all around and rejection and whatever at any point. But you have to keep some sort of like bubble of denial around you at all points of like, my dreams are possible. This next one could be the one. No, freelance life is great and stable and I love it. And things are going to happen. And I maybe that'll just be the segue to like our normal thing. But like, I don't know about you, but that's how like when I wake up in the morning and I'm like, yeah, no, today could be the day that things are different and it's okay. And I'm just going to tune out a certain level of the reality of life because taking it all in like prevents you from being a dreamer. And we're a city of dreamers. Like even if you're not in entertainment, I feel like.
But my God, it tests you as a town.
Oh my God! Also,
tests you.
Also, not only you had like the flood after the fire, it tests you. Look how much we've come together.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think we have to focus on some incredibly positive things. I mean, I would drive back to my neighborhood and I just thought it was incredible that people had organized themselves like within days, like within probably a day. And they'd hold up a cardboard sign going, baby clothes here, strollers here, another corner, kids clothes here, another one, teenage clothes here, adult clothes here, food here, people with water. There was just hundreds of people just clearing up, raking the community. And we're not talking about where the fires are. I'm a mile away from where it happened. It's close enough. And the area was devastated. I'm not even talking about the fire. And then within, I just thought, wow, people are really coming together. And look, we're coming nearly 4 weeks away. It's still happening. I mean, like FEMA is still here. I drive, if I go to the bottom of my road, turn right, the tents are still there feeding people. People are, I'm lucky. I got back to my house after 3 weeks. And I'm seeing a lot of people, and I think there's 50% people back in our neighborhood now. And
Sorry.
I was going to say we had to have the whole thing like it was like the end of ET where you've got trucks down the road and it says disaster relief and there's everyone in hazmat suits sucking things out of houses. I mean, it's just like it's not a good look when you drive up to your own house and you go, oh, there's a disaster relief truck outside your house and hundreds of people in hazmat suits.
Does your house still smell like smoke? Or?
No, I mean, it's the cleanest it's ever been, to be honest, Michael. I mean, to be honest, I highly recommend these disaster relief guys because it's never been so clean. It smells
top of the line.
Yeah. But the only thing is like I was telling Casey and we moved back on Saturday night and then immediately our phones go into another warning for flash floods. And we're going, oh, great, it's going to rain. And you're going, and I thought, well, it never. And then, of course, it did flood. And we find they ran out of sandbags, of course, because everyone's going to the fire department going, they said 3 sandbags and they went, we're out. So we go to Home Depot, had to get these amazing flood bags, which you just put down. And then we're having to engineer the water going, all right, let's sacrifice the garage and keep the house dry. And then had a pumping it out. And I think we were going till midnight just pumping water.
Where are you pumping the water to in that scenario? Are you just pumping it at your neighbor? It's like, well, skip our house, go on to the next one.
He shouldn't have said what he said to me, should he? So,
look, he didn't necessarily use words, but he definitely looked at you wrong that one time.
Yeah. So I just said, you know what, he can have a bit more water, you know.
You put it in your garden in the back.
Yeah, we put it in the garden. Yeah, the garden is very, it was just, I mean, it was weird. You just like, it's a good question. And also, I'm not very experienced with this.
But where did the water go? You didn't answer. Do you even know, or you were just pumping it away from your house?
I'm just pumping it away from the house.
Yeah.
I
feel like it was like a variety of like unreal things that you're unprepared for, that you don't know what you're doing. But also, guys, like, I don't know about you. I did not know all of the things that firefighters actually do. Like the variety of things.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, they're heroic on like so many levels of things that like personally terrify me that I would be so unqualified for. Like, I'm so grateful there are people that are like, I got that. I'm going to do that. And like 24-hour shifts or whatever. I'm like, whoever it is that flies those planes and can like drop water right over the stuff. Like they probably saved like my neighborhood. Like all of those people are.
And neighbors have been great. I mean, like, we've all helping each other out. I mean,
you probably met neighbors you didn't know before.
Exactly. I've met neighbors that I didn't know. We were helping. I have lots of Arrowhead water in the shed. So I was telling people, it's in there, get it out. Because we couldn't for a week or so, you couldn't wash your hands.
Oh yeah, can you guys drink your water and stuff again?
Yeah, but the truth is, I never really do. And that's just a personal preference, and I'm kind of glad of it. But when you get it, it says don't drink and actually don't touch and don't make sure it doesn't touch your skin. That's slightly different, isn't it? You can't have a shower. You can't wash your hands. You've got to be careful if you go to the toilet. I mean, it's just like, oh my God, it's so bad.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's when you just, I mean, like, any of those. And then at the same time, you've got people calling you up going, hi, I just want to check in, who I don't know. And you get a strange call, just check, is your house still standing? Yes, it is. Well, okay, I work in real estate. How much? And you go, oh my God. But part of me, and I was going, this isn't the time. But then there's another part of me going, hold on, maybe I should call them back. How much are you offering? Anyway,
what was your number?
Yeah. What was it? Yeah. When I'm sorry if I was curt and said it was inappropriate to call him. Now is appropriate because it's 5 minutes later. What was the number?
I mean, I think the after effects are going to be interesting.
Yeah.
But I do think it brought us all together. Like, I went to Fire Aid last night, as I was telling you guys before, but just to be able to share like the communal thing with like everybody at the forum. Like, I didn't realize it was a thing that would feel so good, but it actually was like, oh yeah, we've all had some version of this, and the city is like more unified, and now we have to get through to like whatever our next phase is. But I think it is cool that everybody's showing up with like, you know, the street signs or the donation or the like, oh, you need a place to stay, I have an extra bed, like.
There was a comedian who put on Facebook, I've got a 1-bedroom apartment, and the next day said, I now have 21 people living in it. I mean, people were brilliant, right? If I didn't have the friends that I had, I don't know. I mean, like,
and your friends that you come with 5 cats. That is a true friend.
I mean, that's it. I mean, because people are still in the convention center. People are staying in churches and halls, and I see people lining up to get their post every day. I mean, people are. Every other person I talked to in the area lost their house. I mean, I got my hair cut last week, and there seems to be something similar. When someone's smiling, they're the ones that lost their house, it seems, because they go, what can you do? The ones that didn't are like, oh my God, that was close.
But you tell me, but I feel like once it's so extreme, it's like the trauma, like, I don't know how you process that level of loss.
I think it's going to take the time, innit? I mean, I did go to community meetings online. They had to ban them in person because people got so irate. I mean, the problem is in the modern world, you know, with social media. And then don't look at the chat because everyone's an expert. I thought it was brilliant that we should that we had a bunch of expert scientists and people talking to us. But then the people put in the chat, I just want to get into my house that doesn't exist. Shut up. You know, why is this person talking about weather? And it's like, oh yeah. Anyway, let's talk about surviving the big.
We don't need that.
Yeah, we don't want to know about, I'm quite happy breathing in smog. All right, let's talk. Let's get to
Do we have like a firefighter or someone that does something really important to follow up this incredible conversation?
Honestly, we have been wanting to talk to a firefighter for a while, but like before the holidays, there was like they are so fucking important. I got to tell you, I have new appreciation for firefighters, and I'm like, I hope that we can keep like celebrating them. But yeah, I would love so much to talk to one and like hear how it really is. But no, Mike, instead we're talking to you. We're going to talk about editing. So like no pressure to live up to the importance.
Tell us about how important editing is, Mike. And because really you save lives editing. By the way, if any firefighters are listening or someone knows a firefighter, we want to talk to you.
Yes.
But anyway, but we do want to talk to you, Mike, because it's about you surviving your dream.
Yeah,
That's what it's about, Mike.
So I met Mike. I'm going to try and help tee it up a little bit here. I met Mike at a sketch writing class.
That's important. That saves lives. Mental health for reality.
We all know
humor saves lives.
Humor helps you process
exactly. Yeah.
And the fact that Dave has that Mike has a good sense of humor and knows the right buttons to push really is sometimes a lifesaver.
When you say right button, do you mean like you can handle a hose, or do you mean you can make the firefighter laugh so he'll go that little bit longer? We need to know now.
I think we're just talking about control F's, control B's, control up, control down.
Look, that firefighter's exhausted. Send Mike over. He's going to tell him a funny story. There you go. We've got another. That house is saved because of Mike.
Okay, so back in the day, before we all had some sort of weird version of PTSD from fires and hellscapes, what made young Mike want to be an editor? What was the dream? How was it born? I'm trying to get us back on track.
Right.
No pressure. Thanks for taking this bullet.
I'll jump on this. Well,
we do value you, Mike. We do value you.
We really do. Oh my God, I called Mike crying to get his help. I do value Mike.
Yeah, without you, we wouldn't have this podcast. I mean,
it's true.
Well, so
you're also a first responder in your own right.
Yeah, sure.
We'll call him a second responder.
Yeah, I could take a second or third. No, I am honored to occupy that space. No, but as you guys will attest, I feel like we live in a town with a lot of people who are very. Okay, what's the word? Is left brain or right brain the creative one? I don't know.
Well, you could just say we're tech challenged, and that part of our brain is not as alert. Yeah,
but I didn't want to single out you guys. I think it's a very common thing.
No, it is right. You either have. You're right, but also I'm I can't never remember if it's left or right. But you're right. Whichever part it is, that part of my brain is.
Yeah.
Resting.
But it's that intersection that I feel like I finally found my niche. Is oh yes, this is something that not too many people are doing, which is both at the same time.
And when you get someone like me, I'm using very little of my brain, so it's really good to have someone like you, whether it's left or right.
You make me feel tech savvy.
Yeah. I don't know, left or right. I think I'll just use a little centerpiece and that's it. It's a very narrow piece of the brain.
You guys are slightly more tech savvy than my parents. So.
Hey, I feel like I deserve a smidge more than that. I made it to a certain point before I had a nervous breakdown. But wait, what did you start as before you realized these specific skills make me an asset? Where did the dream start?
Well, so I guess I was making little videos with a digital camera and some editing software that my parents got me when I was little. But then I went away from that for 20, 30 years. I just wanted to be an actor, and that's the most classic LA thing. You come here to try to be an actor, and then you figure out what you're actually.
Then you could have played a fireman.
You figure out what you can do that people need you to do.
Yeah, or a doctor or a first responder.
Yeah. What fires am I going to put out metaphorically in Adobe Premiere?
It's the same. It's the same as far as I'm concerned.
It's exactly the same. Yeah. Perfect segue. So actually, it was one of those things where my wife, Lilac, she told me I should be doing this long before I actually was doing it. And it was like the first thing that came to me that I didn't need to like try to have happened. You know, I was in a sketch group for a few years, and we would do videos, and that would just fall to me because I wanted to do it. And then next thing I know, one of those guys is like, oh yeah, I'm doing this like toy play show for Barbie. You want to do that with me? And it's like, okay, what's toy play? That sounds very silly.
The hybrid of kids writing and things like that. It's exactly the tone of whether it's dirty or kid savvy.
Yeah, I was going to say, this sounds like, yeah.
Yeah.
We have to put a warning out for some of our viewers here about what you're going to discuss with toy play.
Well, I can't get too out of line because I'm pretty sure Mattel would find me and make me disappear if I said anything out of line. No, but it's this whole genre of YouTube videos where you basically puppet dolls into frame and you voice over and you tell the story through that. So I was like, great, we're making little Barbie videos.
Definitely 8-year-old Mike was dreaming of doing that.
Yeah.
Well, it all felt like weirdly full circle for me because my grandpa actually worked for Mattel.
Oh my God, I never knew that.
The day. Yeah.
What did he do for Mattel?
He sued them. It was a lawsuit.
No, I think he was a designer or an engineer. I was never like 100% sure what he did, but I know my mom would have stories where like she would always get to take home the prototype of like nice. the new dream house, which at that point was just like 4 cardboard walls. And she felt so cool, and she always got to test run these things. But then, flash forward to, decades later, and I'm just like, oh, I guess I'm kind of working for Mattel now.
You're in the family business.
Through my friend, through a company who's taking money off the top, through that. So, but yeah, like I'm getting emails from them. I rate emails about, I got some of the funniest notes I've ever received as an editor. At various points on this project, like, I'm watching this cut on a plane, but I don't know if this joke is landing. I can't really hear it, though. It's like, wait, what?
You're like, could that be something on your end?
Yeah.
I worked for Mattel also, and their notes were for me, it was more like the departments. It seemed like the departments didn't talk to each other, and like one department would be like, the scene needs to be all zebras. And then the other department would be like, it should be all, kittens. And I'm like, well, I can't really do both. Like, who do I listen to?
I love the executive giving you notes on the plane, but just like, yes, I can't hear it because it's too noisy.
The joke's not landing because I'm distracted and it's noisy. Yeah. Can you fix that?
You've got to make it pop. So
I'm like, I need you to read back what you wrote to me, to yourself, out loud.
So you have to get
slowly.
You have to get good at like responding to notes like that, right? Like how do you?
Well, yeah, like you want to make them happy, and you want to try. I mean, part of the thing about editing is that when you're going back and forth over which frame to cut from, like. It's so hard. You get in your own little bubble, and then you really need other people to bounce these things off of, because you're just like you're in a cave alone playing with drawings on a wall, and then you get out and you're like, oh, that doesn't even look like an elephant. Was that what I was trying to make there?
It's the same as writing.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got to say, I think editors are the unsung heroes of the whole thing, because talking about that left-right brain thing, you seem to be the one person who has both. We often as creators who have arguments with the executives or the producers and go, well, creative, we want this and you want this. Whereas I feel like you have the technology and you've got the creativity. I love spending time with editors because they're usually very thoughtful people and they can work things out. And every time I've worked on a movie or a TV show, I think the editor has been the star, to be honest.
I mean, nothing ends up working in the final cut without the editor using it the right way.
Right.
We'll say that. I think for me personally, I feel like I'm much more of like a jack of all the trades. Like, you have to be, not a king or an ace, but you have to at least understand all of these parts on a certain level. And some things I'm like, I don't understand music theory at all, but I've also had to like basically make songs from scratch, like out of like, I don't know, Terry Crews, like saying some kind of like motivational line to himself. And it's like, okay, make this into like a TikTok-y song. I don't know what I'm doing with this, but like, I guess you kind of have to.
Do you edit comedy mainly, Michael?
Yeah, that's like, I think when people hire me, that's also like, oh yeah, and you have a background in comedy, you get this timing, because it's very specific.
Do you hold to the theory that I know another editor who says and I know that acting is like this, that if you can edit comedy, you can edit drama. If you can edit drama, you might not necessarily be great at editing comedy.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's 100% true. Well, because comedy has everything that drama has, but then it also has a kind of a strict rhythm that you need to hit, or nothing's gonna land.
Right.
I feel like there's a lot of freedom in drama, but at the same time, like, if you want to elicit a certain reaction, there's still some kind of internal timing or rhythm that you have to hit there, even if it doesn't feel like a rhythm, in the same way that, like, set up, punchline will always feel noticeable in comedy.
And what was the dream originally for you? What was 15-year-old Mike dreaming about?
I think part of my brain understood that it's such a insane industry to want to be a part of, this whole like movie and TV, and
that's because your brain was working, unlike mine and Casey's. We were going, no, we didn't get that bit. That's not in our brains.
Reality, we don't need that.
You're so lucky, Mike, that you have that in your brain.
But I think there was a part of me, there was a part of me that understood intrinsically that, like, I just wanted to be a part of it somehow. I didn't I wanted to be an actor, like that was what I was like trying to do. But I think there was a part of me that was like, look, if I get to like make even a small sliver of creative decisions on something that I'm going to be really proud of to like get to see on a big screen, I'm like, that's the dream for me.
That's amazing. But is that amazing, Casey? I mean, like, we've got such big egos that we couldn't probably say something like that, but I think that's beautiful.
I would say yes. And I mean, like, when you see like a joke work and something you wrote, like, you're not the one delivering it,
right?
But to be like, oh, it worked. But also, sometimes they deliver it and you're like, ugh, but then the editor gets it. Right. And you're like, yes, thank you. You trimmed around it. You made it work. Or they're like, oh, we added in all these shots, but the joke's not working. You're like, is that because there's now like 4 minutes between the setup and the punchline? Do we need all of that in between? I mean, it looks real pretty, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like it is, you all have to really like speak the same language. Like, you have to have, and you do have, like really good communication skills, but you have to like listen, like, what is the overall thing? What does everybody want? What do I take from that? Right? Like, what are they really saying? And how can I put what I'm seeing and what I'm doing? Like, did it take you time to develop that? Because that's in addition to being technical.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of things that I took directly from just being an actor, all the acting classes that I took, all the like, you need to know a little bit of everything, but like that was what I felt like was my strength coming in when I started working, was like, okay, well, I don't know everything about everything, but I do know when a performance feels real, and I do know when this joke is working or not. And and I went from there. But like part part of the reason I feel like I am kind of a jack of all trades is that I get very bored easily with something where I feel like, okay, I've tried that out. It was fun. Like I did okay, but like, all right, what's something else? And I feel with editing, even if you kind of have little tricks that you like add to your bag along the way, like I feel like every project I start feels like its own thing, like its own brand new thing where I'm going to have to learn what is the rhythm of this interaction or this scene or this like piece.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's the writing that tells you that, or the acting, or the way production handles things, or just it's its own thing once you get the footage?
Yeah, I think it's all in the footage. Like once you start to put it together, and like I usually try to cut to the script as much as possible. But when you see what you have, like if something needs to like, needs to breathe a little bit more here, or then you see it together and you're like, I feel like we already kind of talked about that. Like we get it without them having to say this. We can just move on from this.
Yeah. Well, I will say, I want to give you a little plug while you're doing that, because I know you also wrote and directed a short recently that I saw, and you did a really, really great job. It's called Sex Date. You can tell us what festivals it's showing in, but it's clear that you like know how to pay attention to all of those things. And I'm envious, Dave, maybe, or that like, because you have all these skills, you kind of can be like your one man shopping. I'm like, I can write. I'm a mediocre director. Occasionally I say words on screen. Not sure I'd give myself high marks for that either. And definitely once it comes to editing and stuff, I'm like, oh my God, I'm crying. I'm so bad. Oh my God, this is not a level of competence. But like, I feel like you can just get in there and do it. Soon it's going to be like written by, directed by, acted by, starring, music by. You're going to be one of those like just one credit for the whole thing kind of guys.
AI.
Thanks, Grok. Yeah.
We're all going to be redundant soon, guys. Enjoy it while you can.
That's all right. The planet's going to kill us before that happens.
Yeah. We're either going to die of but these.
When I said I wanted to be a part of showbiz in any way I could, I meant oiling the joints on the AI overlord as he like sits in his robot throne, cutting my projects. Yeah, I will say like that was a new experience, kind of cutting something that I had written, because I felt even more kind of like way too into it, and I really needed to lean on friends, lean on my wife to be like, okay, what here feels like too much? Do we get this? Do we not get this? Like, you're way too in it. And it gave me a lot of respect for directors who also edit their own stuff, because like I don't know where you get the objectivity from in that case. But yeah, for me, I was very much like, okay, but tell me what you think. Everyone I could get to look at it, like it was way too much.
You did a great job. I was happy to be on that list. How would you say that the actual experience and the actual job like compares to what you imagined it being like?
Well, it was very fun getting to have the kind of final say on these decisions, though. Like, I very much enjoyed the collaborative aspect of it. I think editing is fun, but I am also a more social person than editing really allows for the most part. It's funny because my wife's an audition coach, so she's talking constantly all day and I'm editing all day, and then we get to have our little slice of the night at the end of the day, and she's like, I just need to turn my brain off, I need to relax, and I'm like, I could talk to someone.
Human contact would be good. Right. So did you know that it would be, I feel you. It's the same as a writer. I spent a lot of time alone staring at a computer, talking to the voices in my head that show up on the screen. Did you know like that you'd be spending so much time alone? Are you someone who likes alone time?
I like both. I definitely I like being social, and then I drain that battery, and then I like to do the other thing. But yeah, no, I definitely that was like the nice thing about directing is that I was like, I'm out of my cave. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. I'm getting your input. I'm getting your input, and this isn't all on me. I mean, it is, but somehow felt like I had more help than normal, which is weird because directing, it is all on you. Everything, like, anything that could go wrong is something that you should have foresaw or should have done something about. Versus editing, I feel like I'm just in my cave plugging away, and it's lonelier, but then I just, I have all these other people to report to.
Can I just ask about that? Because I've worked with a lot of editors, and I'm always thinking because I am very fidgety, I have to move around. And I'm always admiring that they can just sit in a chair for hours and hours and hours. And then I'm often thinking, how do you do that? I mean, do you have something? Do you go and actually, I'm just going to go to the restroom and actually I'm going to do a few curls while I'm there or something, or do some push-ups?
Well, I definitely need to do that just so my body doesn't fall apart. And it's kind of doing that anyway because, I don't think humans are supposed to be doing this.
Right. So are you doing squats in between? It's rendering. I'll do 20 squats. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll do that. You'll do anything just to get a little bit of physicality. Actually, we live right next to a really big, beautiful cemetery. So I will just go be with the dead for an hour when I really need to.
More people who won't move. Right, excellent.
Yeah, not lonely at all. so talkative.
Wow, so you spend all the time
community.
Wow. I'm learning a lot about you, Mike. So basically, you're on your own all day, or you're with dead people. Oh my God, that's your break.
Yeah, that's the break. Well, though I will say, I think the thing about editing, and it's hard to understand until you're doing it, but you are fidgeting constantly just with your brain. You're fidgeting with the timeline. You're fidgeting with how does this shot fit? Where exactly do we cut in here? You have way too much to fidget with. So I try to actually, sometimes the only way I remember to do it is if I set a whole bunch of alarms where it's like, okay, here's the 40-minute one. I got to get up and do jumping jacks, or I got to do whatever. Because the second I get sucked into doing something, to fidgeting with anything, I lose everything around me to the point where I've been late to Zoom meetings that I'm at my computer for because I'm just I fall into a hole. I just fall into a giant hole. And sometimes it's oh no, I got the 10-minute warning. I'm sitting at my computer. I'm ready for this Zoom meeting. What was this one note about? And then I look at the timeline, and then next thing I know, it's 20 minutes later, and they're like, Mike,
you're there.
Yes. Sometimes I'm already there. Sometimes I'm just sitting. I was I'm in the waiting room, so whatever. And then next thing I know, they're just looking at me.
They're watching you, lost in the ether. You can really get lost in that world, though, right?
Yeah, I'm sure it's the same with writing.
It's exactly the same with writing. You sit down when you're fully in it, and I'm let me just tweak this scene, and all of a sudden I'm when did it get dark out? Oh my God, did I just vaporize 5 hours? Wow, where did the day go?
In Los Angeles, you could. So we've learned that. So I can't.
Oh, sorry.
Go on. I think we've got one more question before we get to the questions because we're rushing through this one today. It's been a fiery episode.
I was just going to say, what would 12-year-old Mike think of where you're at in your career now?
It's funny because specifically 12 years old, I think was maybe when I was making my brother stand in these little home videos that we'd shoot in the backyard where I was basically just trying to recreate scenes from The Matrix, that's what, or Mission Impossible or whatever. If you said 12 specifically, I'd be oh yeah, No, I'm just doing the same thing that I'm doing now. There was just a huge period of time where I wasn't doing that, and I was just focused on acting.
We won't go to 11 and a half then, Mike, because that's a different period of your life.
Oh, thank you.
It's good you made it back to where you were meant to be. And funny how much of our personalities are defined so young in life, right? That you're like, no, I have to grow up and do this thing, when the kid in you is like, I mean, I'm pretty sure we can get paid to just like be this person.
We wanted to do this all along. What took so long?
Seemed too good to be true.
I will say there was a period of time where I decided I wanted to edit, but I made a rule for myself where I was like, I'm not doing actor reels, because I was also trying to act at the time. And like, there was something about reels that felt so... It was like it was a little depressing to me, because it was like, okay, you have zero control over any of this. You're literally just cobbling together the little bit of footage you have for your friend, and you're not getting any money from it, because turns out there's a bunch of big companies that, like Speed Reel and all these things that make your reel for you, and it's really simple. There's hardly any actual editing involved other than just, yeah, cool, like you don't know how to put a bunch of clips together into one video. Here's like $20 to do that. And I was like, it's not going to be worth it. The mental anguish and the lack of actual money from it. So I was like, it took me a while to actually get jobs, because I was like, no, I'm turning down the one thing that probably would have actually gotten me consistent work for a while. Do I know a ton of actors? Yes. Yeah. Does everyone need a reel all the time? Yes. Yeah. But I was like, no, I don't want to do that.
And what actor can afford $20 in this town?
And that's the left or right brain, or whichever side we can't remember. That's the creative side. That's like, no, I need both.
Yep. All right. Well, we have come to the end of this episode, where we have taken up a lot of time discussing our own experiences in the catastrophe that is Los Angeles. But we'll have to get you on again, Mike. But let's get to questions. Yeah, I think this is the ultimate. We survived. We survived Los Angeles. We
still have dreams despite it, right? Like, it happened, you get over the hump, and then you try and get back to the real life of like when we were like, should we start posting the podcast again?
You have to be a goldfish to live in this town. It's like, what fires? Yeah, move on. Yeah. So my question to you, do we ask everybody, is if you won the lottery, the big one, what would you do?
See, I feel like I hear that and I think like, what would I do differently from what I'm doing right now? And I don't know that I would be doing anything different. I mean, if I won the lottery, I would probably invest in like my own next film. But yeah, like I would still be doing exactly what I want to be, and then maybe invest in a film so I could, show off my editing skills even more, to do more editing. Like, that's like kind of the thing. I guess I am doing my dream, because like I wouldn't do anything differently.
Except maybe get a fire engine. Just in case, get your own fire
around, and instead of being a Dalmatian, they can all have like a firehouse comedian.
Yeah, maybe just have a fire department just close to your house, and then you can do what you want.
Maybe I'll get some sandbags. I'd love to be the guy with sandbags.
You could have made a fortune out of that last week in Pasadena.
Okay. All right. My question: what is your go-to snack? And then also, second parter for you, is there a food that, like, if you're on a deadline and you're stuck, or you're just like so sick of sitting at your computer but you're not done anyway, that you eat this food and it gets you through? Is there a thing?
Yeah, 100%. It's poke.
Oh.
I don't know. I can't put my finger on when I became obsessed with it, but at some point, I think maybe it was during the pandemic, where there was like one place that I got a little bit of a ritual to go. And I would just go and I would eat in my car, and that would be like my break for the day. Like if I didn't have time to go walking with the dead people. That was my moment of zen.
Part of it is I wonder if fish is good for omega-3s, and omega-3s are good brain food.
Yeah, that makes it sound like a really healthy choice, and not that I just love all the the 7 sauces that they put on and the crispy onions and the.
I mean, it doesn't have to be just one or the other.
No, it's all of it.
It explains a lot. Yeah. What's your favorite animal and why?
Oh boy, I guess I'd say a mongoose.
Whoa, why a mongoose?
I don't know if it was growing up on like Ricky Tikki Tavi. Shout out to our boy R. Kipling. I think there's something cool about the mongoose where it's like, yeah, they kind of look like a cuddly little stuffed animal, but they're also like snake fighting ninjas and are just like little terrors. That's like always the coolest thing to me. I don't think it's even that complicated. I think they're just like, yeah, they're just little like squirrel. They're like a squirrel, but they're like a badass ninja at the same time.
Aren't they the ones that have like duck beaks too, or what am I thinking of?
No. So like a I think they're like a specific
it's like a meerkat?
branch of like a meerkat. So
okay.
I'm looking it up.
Think of Simone, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a meerkat. Yeah, it's carnivorous.
I feel like we learn a lot about animals on this podcast, Dave, don't we? People have way more interesting favorite animals that we're both just like, I love cats.
It's in the family of Herpistidae, which I presume you knew that, Mike.
I'm assuming you're pronouncing that totally correctly also.
I did not. I mean, I probably did when I was a kid. I feel like when you're a kid, you'll read every encyclopedia article you could ever find.
Yeah. Okay, final question, Mike. Okay. If we really knew you, what would we know about you? Oh, it's going to be good.
Oh, man, I did not. Yeah, this pause is me really not having prepared anything for this question that you ask every single guest.
It's a tough one. I know. When we interviewed each other, I was like, oh, this is hard. No wonder people respond this way when we ask it.
Well, you always think about it. It's like, oh, interesting to hear someone else say, but then you never actually do the work to self-reflect and figure out what it is about you.
No pressure. Now's the time.
Well, that's our show, folks. Thanks for tuning in.
He'll edit in his answer later when it
comes to him. Oh, gosh. Maybe my secret is that I don't really keep secrets. They make me too uncomfortable. I wear everything on my sleeve because I'm more trustworthy that way, and I also feel like keeping things in is just energy that I don't need to waste time expending. It's like way easier to just lay it out there.
Wow, he's so not English.
I like that. I like that. It's a good quality. Mike, I have to say, I love you. You make this show better. You make my life easier because you're a part of the show. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mike. Yeah, I appreciate that as well. Even with my tiny little brain, I appreciate having two sides rather than just this little tiny little walnut that I've got.
If people want to check out Sex Date and or hire you, not steal you from us, how
are you for a sex date? What? This is somewhere that I didn't think it was going to go.
Thank you for clarifying. Sex date is Mike's short. I'm talking about hiring him as an editor. It would be short
sex date.
That would have required editing. You'd be like, that needs to breathe. You're really putting Mike out there for something I don't think you meant to. Lilac, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to pimp out your husband.
Call this number now for a short sex date.
Ooh, yeah. Just get in line. Look, my calendar is really jam packed. So
all those dead people need a lot of servicing.
Mike, if you know someone, we might want to edit that last bit out. I don't know.
I'll talk to a guy. Joke's on you guys. I don't know a thing about editing. I've been outsourcing it to another friend this whole time.
Yeah. AI. Yeah.
Well, I can't post Sex Date publicly yet while it's starting its festival run, but if anyone wants to follow along on its journey, I will be posting updates at my Insta at YARP with 3 R's. But thank you guys. This was a lot of fun.
This is good. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Anyone that went through fire terribleness, our hearts are with you. If a first responder happens to be listening, thank you. And also, we would love to talk to you. And it's good to be back.
It's good to be back.
It's good to be back, baby.
Good to be breathing oxygen again.
I mean, maybe with a mask, because our air is pretty terrible.
Yes. With all the filters on high.
All right. Yeah. Just keep surviving, people. Forget the dream. Just survive.
Please.
All right. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Quick shout out to Mike Nicholas for being our tech savior, and Carmen Sclafani, also known as Wiser Time. Thanks for our music, and thank you all for listening.